Well, all right, here we go. All right, we got Dusty Sanders here, going to be sharing about a project that he bought through I guess you bought it through FasterFunds, the flipping team, right? And then you bought it off of them. Is that correct?
Yeah, the lead actually came to me personally from a gentleman that I went to high school with.
Yeah. So
is where it came from.
And it might be entertaining for everybody on here that doesn't know. So you're an acquisitions guy for FasterFunds, or at least you were at the time that
I was, I was at the time.
And still associated with FasterFunds, just in a different role. And for anybody that doesn't know, anybody that buys any of the acquisitions guys for FasterFunds, if they find a deal, it doesn't matter if it was from your best friend. If you find a deal, that deal goes through FasterFunds, and FasterFunds gets their little cut, right? Is that pretty much how it goes, Dusty?
Yeah, that's how it goes.
But you get the basically first opportunity to buy it from the company.
Yes.
And that's what happened in this case.
That's exactly what happened in this case.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's
cool.
Drew. Thanks for being a part of this here, Dusty. You good with sharing the screen and kind of taking it from here?
Yeah. You just tell me how you want to operate it there, boss.
I'll let you just kind of go through the story. Feel free, anybody, if they want to jump in and ask questions, but we'll definitely do a Q&A at the end. But if anybody has any questions while Dusty's going through it, feel free to jump in. And but your show, Dusty.
All right. So as we'll touch on one of these other slides here in a second, this house was brought to me by a gentleman that I went to middle school and high school with, a good friend of mine. He does a little bit of wholesaling from time to time, but his main game in acquisitions and what he keeps in his rental portfolio is, like Jennings, Ferguson, Delwood, just smaller, under $100,000 houses, simple rehabs, nothing crazy. So in his network, he stumbled across this house at 1363 Lake Hollow Drive. I don't know if you can see that screen there very well, but he stumbled into this house on 1363 Lake Hollow Drive. He went out, took a look at it. As soon as he got there, he straight up told me, he's like, this is outside of my comfort zone. This is not a project that I have any interest in taking down. I don't have the collateral or the power to do this house. I don't have the resources, etc. So he called me immediately, and we talked quite a bit. So he just reached out to me and he said, hey, I might have a house for you that is right in your wheelhouse, something you could do, and you have the ability to do it. So I asked him to send me some details on it and get me in the door. So as soon as I got the address, my wife was sitting next to me at the time, and I showed it to her, and she's like, we're buying this house. I said, you haven't even seen it yet. She was like, I don't care, we're buying this house. I said, well, let's go see what it's all about. So this house is about 10 minutes southwest of our office in Defiance. It's on just under 4 acres. It's when we first started, when we did the purchase on it, it's right around 5,000 square feet. It's a retired MLB baseball player's house. I'm going to click on some photos here. I'll walk you through these a little bit. Give me a second to rearrange this screen for me. All right, so here's the front of the house from the street, and this is the pictures from my acquisitions appointment. So we went to the house, take a look at it. We knew kind of some generic details of it and that it was in some sad shape. The gentleman that had the house is a good dude, just not a good homeowner. Still travels, still does a bunch of coaching in the minors and major leagues for MLB. So he lived in this 5,500 or 5,000 square foot house by himself for the better part of the last 10 years. And only lived in one room. And the reason I can say he only lived in one room of the house, when we first started the rehab, we found that he had all the HVAC ducts in the rooms that he did not inhabit sealed shut. So they were stuffed shut with insulation and whatnot. So there was no ventilation in like 3/4 of this house. So we'll click through a couple of pictures. This is the front. There's a nice lake on the front of the house that this glorious individual had damaged. If you can see my cursor here on the screen, there's a culvert. That's the emergency drain for the lake. This gentleman, wanted a true Field of Dreams style property. So he brought 100 tandem dump truck loads of dirt in to build a legitimate baseball field in the backyard. And when he did so, he destroyed all the flat work on this house is completely destroyed, to the point where he had pushed this section of the driveway down and collapsed that culvert pipe, and you can see the lake's down 4 or 5 feet there in that photo. So that was a major issue for me. And you can see this is just some of the flat work here, but gigantic driveway. Probably in the next, so we're walking around the backside of the house at this point. Tons of landscaping that needed to be updated. A whole lot of stuff needed to be touched. He had some nice little trails for his kids here. You can see some damage again on the back of the property in a second, where his young children would drive their dirt bikes up the concretes or the paver steps in the backyard to get them out of the basement, which then destroyed the stairs. They're right here. You can see he's got a full backstop here, and all these trees around my cursor on the property, they have big halogen lights in there to light up the backyard like a baseball field and whatnot. So this is just the outside of the house. We'll kind of just glaze through it a little bit. This above here is a sunroom that we'll get to in a second, but these are the stairs here. And you can see this retaining wall here, because the path of the dump trucks had pushed this retaining wall towards the house. And then you can see the stairs here in a second. They'll be all crumbled right there. So they would ride their dirt bikes up and down the stairs because they thought that was fun. Well, inherently destroyed my patio. So nevertheless, I was interested in buying it the second I got there. I loved the property. I grew up on property. My wife still, both of our families still live on some acreage here in the county. So we wanted this house pretty bad. But you can see all the flat work on this driveway. This is where they brought the dump trucks through, was just completely demolished and squished, and poor drainage. I mean, just beat up. And the inside of the house wasn't much better, to be honest. So I'm going to scan through some pictures here. Here's the front walkway. You couldn't see the house from the street. You can now. We've done a whole bunch of landscaping, a whole bunch of ground clearing. We fixed the pond. That was an interesting experience because I've never been involved in that before. So we're about to pop through the front door here of the house. So this is your front, and this is a house that was built in 2003. It was a custom built home. The previous homeowners built it like this. So when you walk into the dining room right off the bat, but it was very partitioned off, with this being back here a sunroom, and on the left side of the house is the kitchen. But very odd layout in the grand scheme of things. And for the overall size of this house, the kitchen was miniature. I'll say that was miniature. So we're clicking through here, main living room. This is looking from the fireplace back into the house. These are just before pictures, and I'll just kind of glaze through them, not real crazy. This is that sunroom. Now we reclaimed a big section of this and added it to our master bedroom. And then we did an open air patio off the other side. But there was all kinds of weird DIY projects all over the house. You can see there's his Red Sox rookie jersey still there when he played for the Cardinals, and everything else is still here in this house. There's one of the rooms. This is one of 7 bathrooms that are currently in the home. But you can see that's the original laundry room. And in the end, I'll show a video of kind of a walkthrough of the house. So we bought this gigantic house, and I'll just skip through a whole bunch of pictures here as we go into the bedrooms. They all have their own bathrooms. They all have walk-in closets, just sadly maintained over the years. When we bought it initially, we thought the ARV was around $1 million. We actually had it appraised on the front side of the deal in an as-is condition for the bank at $860,000. So that's where we kind of knew we were safe there in our purchase price. But bedrooms, this was a steam shower in one of the kids' bathrooms. Very odd position for a steam shower to be in a Jack and Jill bath in the house. There's his collection of bobbleheads here. You name it, they're there. It's like every bobblehead the Cardinals have ever released, he's got them. But the house was big. It just needed a lot of love and a lot of update. And there was a jacuzzi tub in one of the other bedrooms in that one there. This is the master. You can see that he slept here and his dogs slept right here. That was the only room they inhabited in the house, was this one. But again, just nothing crazy, just wasn't maintained, wasn't brought up to modern standards. You still got, builder grade finishes on the ceilings and, old carpet. This is the master bathroom, or what was the master. And then I'll get upstairs. The other neat feature of this house, it's a story and a half. So the upstairs has an additional, let's say 2,000 square feet. And this gentleman had an indoor batting cage in the house. So you could walk out of our master bedroom. Let me go back one photo. This side is master bedroom. And then you can walk out onto this sunroom. That's the way the house was set up. So, but he had an indoor hibachi grill that was right here with a big hood and a gas line and all that stuff. Cause I guess he liked, you know, Japanese type food. So he had the ability to roll a hibachi grill in there and then it vented out. So we have done a tremendous number on this house and we'll get there. So this is walking upstairs, full batting cage, pitching machine, you name it, it had it. This was a half bath. Now it's a full bath. I saved some of the turf. So we'll get there. Sorry, if I'm going too quick, let me know and I'll back up on some photos.
You're doing great.
All right. Very, very neat layout of a house, you know, but it was a blank slate. And then again, we got a 9-foot pour in the basement. It was big. It's big and wide open. We're working on the basement still actively. Fireplace, or one of 2 fireplaces that were in the house. Now we put one elsewhere. Another bathroom downstairs because you need 7, you know, so we'll get through these. And there will be 8 bathrooms in the house when I'm all said and done with it. I'm going to add one. There's a safe room, steel door, concrete safe room there in the house as well. They took the pool table. I kind of wish they'd left me the pool table. That's the gentleman's Red Sox rookie jersey signed by the team. And there's his little gym, you know, in his house. So I will, and there's a slide in here that says DIY disasters. This line right here, this MC cable that's here, right behind the stack, you can see it there, is literally a high voltage electrical line that was held up by electrical tape. Wow. Feeding his 2nd story HVAC that was just put in by a licensed big name contractor in St. Louis. And that was how they installed it. So kind of ridiculous, but you know, this gigantic house fell in our lap. When we were at our initial meet and greet with the gentleman, he gave me a price of what he was looking for. And my wife was standing on my right behind me, and her entire knee, or her knees went weak and her arms clenched onto the back of my arms like, holy shit, let's buy this house. And I just had to tell her to be patient because I didn't want him to get spooked. And not that we were taking advantage of him. He had a very specific set of demands that he needed in the end of this deal. So we were one of only a few people that could probably pull that off with Faster House behind us. So he needed, I'm going to go back to the Zoom screen here if I can. Boom, there we go. All right. Oh, nope. I wanted to hang on just a second. I'm lost in my, let's see. Hang on. The presentation disappeared on me. Let's see if I got it here. All right. I can get through it this way. Okay. So this particular gentleman needed a very specific set of pieces to the puzzle that he needed for us to be able to get around, which was fine. But he needed, hang on a second. There we go. I got to move you all around so I can see the screen. There we go. All right. All right, there we go. I'm sharing my screen. Can you still see that okay?
Yep.
Okay, let me, I need to be able to, hang on, I can't get the play button to work right. Give me a few seconds here. I apologize for the technical difficulties there. All right, there we go. All right. So the house, 1363 Lake Hollow Drive. It's a 4-bed, 7-bath house. It is now just right at 5,500 square foot on the main 2 floors. The gentleman needed $525,000 for his purchase price. That's what he wanted. That was his demand. And I was okay with it. 100% didn't flinch at that number at all. The reason he needed that is that's the exact number that he owed on the house minus what he had to pay his wife in the divorce. So he wanted to come out breaking even. That was his only number. Didn't care about anything else. Had zero idea what the house was worth. He didn't even care. He just wanted it to be sold at that number. His other needs were possession after closing for about 30 days and to be all cash, no inspections, no contingencies, and really no showings. Like he didn't want to show anybody his house. He just didn't want anybody inside to see what his day-to-day life was. So I bought it, or I put it under contract for Faster House at $525,000. Then I took a $25,000 assignment fee, which is my purchase price of $550,000. So that way Faster House got a little cut in the deal in the beginning. That's how all the systems still work. You know, that's how they keep the lights all on, is our wholesaling. I had an initial rehab budget about $250,000. And that may not seem like a lot because of the size of the house, but I also come with a unique set of skills that there's not a whole lot in a house that I can't do myself. Electric, plumbing, trim work, set cabinets, lights, redesign, structural. I've got a very deep plethora of skills that are in my pocket all the time. I don't necessarily always have to use them, but I knew in this house, to get my most bang for the buck, I was going to have to strap on a tool belt again, dust it off, and swing a hammer for a while. So our initial thoughts was the ARV was going to be around $1 million. That was kind of what we were going on. We figured that was a safe estimate for a house that size in that neighborhood, that was going to be no big deal to pull off. So in the end, we figured we'd be all into it for right around the $800,000 mark or a little more. Not a big deal, because then we could take it to the bank and do an 80-20 loan to value. We wouldn't have to put any money down. We would refinance off the hard money note, and we just keep the house. So in this deal as well, our personal house that we had done the same thing. Actually, 2 houses on the same street. I bought, flipped, and rehabbed, lived in them 2 years at a time, and moved 2 doors down the block. So we knew we had a house that we'd already bought below market value, done a bunch of work to, and we were going to sell. So we were going to take that equity from the sale of that house for profit and park it in this house, so I wouldn't have an $800,000 house payment, because I really have no interest in owning a house of this size. It's not my cup of tea. Don't really care. I'd much rather be around the 2,000 square feet or less, and something where I can find all my kids and hunker down and hide in the basement and nobody bothers me. That's what I was going for. But this house just fell in my lap, and as I'll talk about it a little bit later, the power was in the equity of this house, and gives us a whole lot of flexibility moving down the road. So I don't need a house this big. It's kind of growing on me, but I lose my kids. I can wander around and not find anybody for a little bit. It's a little odd feeling to have. So this is my initial rehab budget, and we came pretty close, and I'll go through that. But the numbers here may look completely bizarre, but where it's a 5,000 square foot house, just doing the hardwood floors, there was 3,900 square foot of hardwood floors to refinish. Painting of that house is, that was a week-long project for a team of 5 guys, so we had $15K in paint, and that didn't include the $6K in drywall work. That was 270 new sheets of drywall that we tore down, rehung, redid structures and framing, and we added LVL beams in several places. We opened walls, we moved stairs. Like, we did a lot of work in here. Exterior work, the 15 grand, that was partially the pond repair. So I had to blow a 16-foot by 24-foot deep hole in the side of the pond with an excavator. That was a fun project for a few days. Peeled that open, had to dig that culvert pipe out with some instruction and help with the St. Charles County Levy District guys that I know came out and helped us navigate this project. And we were able to get an excavator out there, dig a hole through the pond, put it back together, fix it, and now it holds water. We probably put the overflow pipe about an inch or two too high, because the other day in the rain, my dock was underwater. So, but that was we shot great on it, and it came out right. But that rain we had the other day, even a 16-inch round culvert that's there wasn't able to keep up with the volume of water we had. So my dock was underwater for a little bit. But you live and you learn. I'll raise the dock later in the spring when we get some warm, dry weather. When I say bathrooms at $35,000. That's not including cabinetry, because I got that signified on the next line over here. But there were 7 bathrooms in the house that I had to touch, all new. Every ounce, they went all the way down to the stud, so we could rework them to something that worked for our family, including a total structural redesign of the master. So that was a lot of bathrooms there. The basement, $7,500. We knew going in that the house was on plastic soil, and we needed to start throwing some piers underneath of it to protect us for the future. So we piered half the house for $7,500. So we did, I think, 7 or 8 piers on one side of the house, and then we got another 7 or 8 coming this spring probably. countertops. That was 7 whole sheets of quartz. That's 7 entire slabs of quartz that went in this house collectively, from everything start to finish. One win we had in the beginning of the project, the previous owner had an issue with HVAC systems. They were on a geothermal system before he found there was a leak in the line set, and without consulting us, he just replaced all 3 systems with whatever he could find in a timely fashion. So he called in a big reputable name company that's in St. Louis. They robbed this individual blind, charged him about $60,000 for about $18,000 to $20,000 worth of equipment and installs, but he paid the bill, not me. So right now we have 4 total brand new HVACs in the house at this point. Electrical work there. I mean, every time we opened a wall, we found some new DIY catastrophe worth of electric work. So we basically rewired probably 1/3 of the house and then added an additional 1/3 of new electric throughout the house between myself and a couple of electricians that are good buddies of mine. Plumbing, we did all new stacks, all new valves, all new drains, all new toilets, all new showers, everything from start to finish. That's cost us about $10,000 on that. The garage, I'm kind of a sissy. I did this years ago. I put a full-on HVAC system in a garage of mine in a personal house in 2015 on a 4-car garage addition that we did at our house, and I made it heated and cooled. I refuse to live in a house without a heated and cooled garage now. I will go without a lot of things, but a heated and cooled garage isn't one of them. So that's the $6,000 in there was for me to put a HVAC in there and do epoxy on the floor, paint the walls, and update the lighting and stuff, because I put a gym in the garage. And I really enjoy that because I live kind of a high-speed life, and that gives me the ability to just unwind at the house, or when if I'm having a rough day, I can just go in and get some work done and nobody bugs me. I don't have to go to the big box gym. The deck/patio, the previous owner, again, awesome guy, just not the most brilliant homeowner. He took a 18 by 30 Trex maintenance-free deck and allowed his dogs to chew on it as a chew toy. And then when he decided he didn't like the look of it anymore, he ordered a pallet of spray paint. I'm not even sure where you get a pallet of spray paint, but he had a pallet of spray paint and he spray painted the deck brown. I can't even imagine how long that would take, can by can, to spray paint a 18 by 30 deck. But so that's what he did. I also love a hot tub. I bought a hot tub in early COVID in January or April of 20. I live and die with my hot tub twice a day most days. So I had to build a structure under the deck. So we added a 15 by 15 deck to our deck to support my hot tub. So that's what that 10 G's in the deck is that we stripped it, put new beams up, all new posts, new handrails, new decking. We just went with treated lumber, and then we got metal rails coming. So that's still inbound, but that's me doing all the labor for that. Totally fine. I have the energy, not always have the time. Cabinetry was kind of a budget. I don't want to say budget buster, but it was something that really, when I got the bill for it, I was like, shit. But in all reality, I've got 3 kitchens. I've got 7 bathrooms, and more cabinets than most would have in their homes. There's 158 cabinets in my house. So that's a lot of cabinetry. So that's why that bill is where it's at. Appliances, I tried to work that as smart as I could. Every time something would go on deal or clearance or sale, I would work with the Home Depot rep to be able to buy it, and then use my 11% rebate cards that I had gotten for the last couple of years, saving them for whatever I decided to save them for, to chunk off big chunks of appliances. So that's how I got them to be only 20 grand for 3 sets of kitchens and 2 sets of washers and dryers and everything else. My initial driveway budget is 25 grand. That only redoes half my driveway. So the other half will be next year after my pool goes in July. So miscellaneous stuff that we come across, there was, we did LVL beams in some spots that we weren't planning. That was just kind of thrown in there. We moved a set of stairs, adjusted a whole bunch of things that weren't necessarily there before. So that was kind of like my miscellaneous bucket there for that. Interesting parts of this journey for me, and I'm now by trade here at FasterFunds, I'm the director of construction here. So I've got about 10 rehabs in our pipeline at all times. That's kind of how my workflow. That's just the Faster House life. That doesn't include my personal business, because me and my wife also own a small pile of rentals as well that we rehab and add to all the time. Just planning the overall size, just the overall size of this house took time to be able to design and lay out, because you got to be able to find the materials and the right guys to be able to help you do this. This isn't your rental grade contractor going in to do a house like this. You got to have the right people in your court for this. So planning was a big thing. We demoed it out. We probably sat on it for 30 days. Me and my wife would go out there almost every day. We would look through. I've got plans and hand-drawn plans and drawings in a notebook that's always in my backpack. For months, we did that, probably a good month solid, drawing, coming up with drawings and measurements and source of materials and everything, to where when we actually started to kick this big bastard off, that it wasn't just sitting there. So just an absolute massive size of the project. It's 5,500 square foot when it was all said and done. It just takes time. I mean, even trim work in there, I'm still doing cabinet trim work in this house, not because I'm slow. There's just so much of it. So the overall volume of the house is not for the faint-hearted, that's for sure. The volume of cabinetry, when we first initially bid our cabinets, they came in around 40 grand. We used a custom shop out of Wright City called Fox Creek Cabinetry. Would highly recommend them if you're ever doing anything that's a full-on custom build. That'd be where I would go. I wouldn't even ask anybody else anymore. But they bid us at 40 grand, then we gave them our final design of the project, and it came back 20K higher than what I thought. The owner of the company actually came to the house to give me that number, because he was afraid I was going to yell and scream and hoot and holler at him. And in all reality, as soon as he gave it to me, I just said, that's fine. When do you need the cash? But we also added you saw the pictures of the previous laundry room. When I show this video in a few minutes, the new laundry room is, it's massive. It's, in my mind, it's things laundry dreams are made of. If I had to say that, it actually gets me to enjoy and do laundry at this point in life. Every time we turned a corner in this house, we found some new DIY disaster. There was some electric work in between the kitchen and the dining room that I can't believe never burned this house down, for that matter. That was something we found. A lot of DIY plumbing work, a lot of DIY landscaping work, which would be fine, but there's probably 6 figures worth of retaining walls outside of this house. And the gentleman's brother owns a big landscaping company, and they're spray painted brown and tan. So he didn't like the color, so he spray painted them, because that's the fix for everything. Is instead of a Band-Aid or duct tape, this guy just spray painted it all. So, and that's true. I mean, front side of my house looks incredible. And then you get up to the retaining walls, you're like, why are they splotchy like a cheetah print? It's because they're spray painted, and spray paint's not where it should be. So that's just how it worked. So the project overall took us right around the 12-week mark. We ended up having to move in early, 30 days earlier than expected, because our other personal home, we put it on the market. We had it initially sold to a family friend off market. He was selling his house, and his dad was moving into that, and then he was buying ours. Well, about 3 weeks before closing, and this has been a lifelong friend of mine, he called me. He's like, hey, we just notified that dad's sick. He's got stage 4 cancer, probably 90 to 120 days to live. I can't buy your house anymore, because he was buying our house and his dad was moving into his house. So that way he had a main floor, home, because he lived in a 2-story. So he sold that and moved in with his son. So I kind of had to switch gears and figure out how the hell I was going to do this. I was either going to finish one of our rental projects that we had going on, and we were going to hide out in there for a while, or we were going to, turn the faucet on this house and speed it up a notch. And I was going to move into this house with my wife and 4 kids before it was finished. Unfortunately, that was the route I chose. I really can't say that I would choose it to be any different. But when we moved in, I barely had cabinets. I definitely didn't have countertops. The only sink I had in the house that functioned was it was the right vanity, but a sink that I swiped from a remodeled house we were demolishing. I literally just picked the countertop up and set it down on mine, put a new faucet on it, and called it good for our master bathroom, because there really wasn't any other way. I got a video, I'm sure, that somewhere of my wife brushing her teeth on the back porch and spitting off the side of the deck, because out of a bottle of water, because that's all we had. So wasn't the most ideal situation, but we made it work. So that's kind of how that went. And I will here. You want me to Brian, you want me to pull up that video real quick and I'll
Sure.
talk over it? Okay.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Give me a second to exit this mode here.
I'm excited to see the after product, although I already saw it, but it's amazing. You did an amazing job, man.
Thanks. And I'm going to say it's oh, that's not the right button. There it is. All right. So I'm going to give me a minute. I'm going to kill the sound on this video. This is hang on. Let me see if I can. Let me go this way, enlarge. Okay. I'm going to kill the sound on her. On my wife. That's my beautiful wife, Shelly. All right. Okay. So she's currently going to give you a couple minutes, about a 10-minute walkthrough. I'll skip through some of it. This is her in our mud room. So the original pictures of the house you saw, the laundry room that was there. This is kind of where she's at here, is in this mud room section of the house. I'm going to try to, there you go. So on the left side of it, there are benches and cubbies for all 6 of us in the house, and then upper storage for like bulk storage, cleaning goods, paper towels, toilet paper, accessories like that. The right side of this is as she's panning there, that's a drop-in desk area for me. So in this cabinet here to the right, there's a printer in it. These are 4 file cabinets. On this one is our dog food storage and cleaning, like brooms, mops type stuff storage. So we really took a lot of time to think about how this house is going to be set up and used for the 6 of us, which is why that planning phase takes so long. And then if she pans back enough, you can see the trim on top of the windows. That's like a 10-piece trim kit on every window of the house. So she's going to walk into my main living room. This is one of 7 bathrooms. I'm waiting on the vanity to show up for this. It should be here this week. When you ordered 158 cabinets, sometimes things get missed. This was one of them. Somehow I didn't order a vanity for that bathroom. It happens. This is walking into our main kitchen area. So before, there was a wall to your right. The kitchen was about a third that size, and there was a eat-in like dining room here. So we've removed all of that, did LVL beams, all new windows. Now the backsplash is done. I don't have a picture of that, but we did black picket tiles and then did white grout on the backsplash. So that's all done. There's that going down from the garage there. This is the kitchen. There'll be crown molding up as soon as I'm waiting on 2 pieces of cabinets for the kitchen that were didn't pass quality assurance checks for the cabinet manufacturer. So hang on, let's see. They didn't pass quality assurance. So like you'll see a drawer missing right here. That it came out, they delivered, they're like, we don't like it. So they took the drawer back and redid it. So that's now at the house. Same with these 2 slides right here. They didn't like how those come out. So that was a bonus of using somebody that really gave a shit about their product, because even with the end of this island, it's a 6-foot by 12-foot island. The end caps on the island, when they showed up to the job site, the owner of the company did not like how they showed up or didn't like the design. So literally took them back and rebuilt them, didn't charge me a penny. So that was, working with a higher end contractor. So some things that we thought about, I'm going to try to pause this video in a second when she makes this corner here. We did pop-up outlets in the island. That was something big that we did because I didn't want the outlets in the side of my cabinet to be black and then they'd be bright white. I didn't want that. There's now a mantle up here as well that matches the table and dining room. So we pulled all that down. That's the same quartz as the kitchen. Again, sliding glass door there. We had that table made, and then the dining room table also made as well, which she'll get to right there. That in the background here on the wall, that's a hand-painted stencil. It's a gal that Shelly knows, and it's really trippy when you look at it, but it's a stencil on the wall. We've got 2 of them like that in the house. Just a neat way to do an accent wall. It is not wallpaper. That took her all day to paint that 9-foot by 20-foot wall. Took one person all day to do that. Dining room table, that's a local guy out of Wright City that does a bunch of woodwork with us. So he did that table for me. There's going to be, you can see when she pans back to the right here, where that sliding glass door is here on the right, that will be a 12-foot sliding glass door. It's back ordered. We'll see it when it gets here. We got that TV's only there for the Super Bowl party. That's the only reason that one's there. I don't need a TV in my dining room, but was there for the Super Bowl party. So nice LVP flooring. We redid all the hardwoods, all new trim, all new doors. This is one of the bedrooms on the main floor. This is one of my daughter's rooms. Again, all new windows, window trims. This is a Jack and Jill bath with a nice tiled shower. Again, I've got those 2 drawer fronts. They're laying in the bedroom floor under the bed. My other 2 daughters' bedrooms. We did a little reading nook here and a little bump out. So then we got the nice trim all around that. Going into my son's room, he's 14. You can see all this shit's everywhere. Again, nice bathroom, etc. Trim. Now you're going to walk into my master. I'm going to pause this. Oh, let me see if I can get a clear shot of it. Okay, so the master used to stop right here. Literally, that was a deck or covered porch of sorts. So we put LVL beams up here, supported the walls, nice big stud packs at both corners. Built this wall because it didn't exist at all new windows here, tore it all down to the drywall, re-insulated it, spray foam underneath, paper backed insulation behind that, sealed it up, all new blown in above because there was none, it was a covered porch. And then we also put in 2 HVAC runs, 2 new trunk lines going in there, and then so that set it up to be tied to the bedroom side house. So now that's a traditionally heated and cooled space. So now that's where my extra 500 square feet come in. We literally bumped off the back, and not that the house needed to be any bigger. It just made sense to make this room what we were going to use it as. So this is our master bedroom. We're going to do a really neat geometric design on that wall there. And she's going to kind of walk in here, maybe do a little U-turn. She's got a makeup station with a lit mirror. So she can just sit in the bedroom. I've got a couch and I got a TV right behind her over her shoulder. So that way I can watch TV and jack around while she's getting ready, because I'm very quick and she's very slow. So that made it work out for me. Walking into my master bathroom, there's a fireplace here. There's a 55-inch TV with surround sound because everybody needs that. And coffee bar, there's a little beverage center, and then our trash cans here and a coffee bar in the bathroom. And it's going to pan the corner here. Now we've got a 6-foot by 6-foot walk-in shower. 2 sets of heads, 2 sets of valves. We had 11 heads in our last shower. We never used them. The kids used them. So I cut it down to just having 4 heads in this one. Also because this house is an all electric house, which I'll touch on in one of the next slides. So energy savings in here was huge because my first power bill was $1,000. So that'll kick you in the pants. That's for sure. This is the master closet. We put new carpet in here. It was already like that. We're going to redesign it, but that wasn't like a big ticket item that I needed on the first go around. So she's going to kind of hustle through here a little bit. I think she's going upstairs. Yep, she did. Okay, so this is the 1.5-story part of this house. This is where that baseball field was. We turned this into like a kids play palace, basically, and extra space for when we have people over. If they get a little intoxicated and they don't want to drive home, I got room for them now. So there's a second whole kitchen up here. That's another full bathroom. And then she's going to rotate around here. All new floors, all new HVAC. And this is just generically set up right now. I got new lights coming for the ceilings. There'll be a full-on golf simulator up here in the near future. It's on order. And then all those ping pong balls go elsewhere for me. That's just the kids screwing around up there. But we had some 50 people in our house on Super Bowl, and it was amazing. Wasn't like anybody was there. So we'll go back down to the main floor. She's talking about some organization and storage stuff here. We got a gal that's a friend of ours that specializes in organizing your shit. So she comes in and makes it look all pretty and makes it make sense. So it makes your life super happy and makes her super happy. So I'm happy with it. She's got to go into my laundry room. So we took, right there. So we took a office that was an old office and a formal dining room. That's what the previous guy used it for. And I manipulated it around, closed up some walls, added some stuff, and we made it our butler's, or like a butler's pantry and a laundry room. But it's also like the kids' kitchen area. So there's already preset. We have 4 kids under the age of 15. So it gave me the ability for them to be able to cook all their shit, not in my kitchen. So here's my laundry room. The right-hand side of that is about a 12-foot long run of cabinets. So that's the kids' fridge and their pantry right there. We can do all of our laundry in this laundry room. There's a slop sink there in the corner. Backsplash starts in this room tomorrow. There'll be a black subway tile chevron black backsplash going all the way around the room. I'll start that tomorrow. But this gives us plenty of room to be able to fold and sort clothes and things. And that's kind of, what we were going for, is just to make our house way more user friendly for our busy lifestyle and our our 4 kids and the 6 of us. So that was kind of let me get back to this part of the slideshow here. Boom, boom. All right. So then, here's, interesting lessons along the journey, project timeline. I dinged that thing up when I had to get in the house 30 days beforehand. So that was kind of an interesting adventure, but it worked out very smoothly for us. In the long run, it turned out fine. So I can't really complain about that too much. All right, let's go to the next screen there. There we go. So final numbers, right? And then I'll get into kind of how on the next slide, what we did or why we finished. There's no sale price, etc. So my final rehab cost really came in just under $280,000. And that was with me doing a whole lot of hammer swinging, me and my brother-in-law. But we did it, made it work, and it worked out good. Holding costs is something that made me a little nauseous in the beginning. Oh, I got an extra zero there. It cost me about 30 grand to hold this house for a little over 5 months. There was no list price because we didn't sell it. We moved into it. No final sale price. So we had it looked at with the original appraisal. It was at $860,000. When we finished, it was reappraised at $1.5 million in its current condition, without my basement being finished, which is coming. And because I don't necessarily need the basement for size, but this class of house requires, to get the most bang for your buck, you got to have the spaces that people that live in this, this class of house would be accustomed to, if that makes sense. I'm not that people. I drink Busch Light beer, drink a little whiskey, run around in cheap clothes. This isn't my cup of tea, but now here we are. Lessons learned. I wouldn't have been able to do this house without my beautiful wife. Family support with my wild ideas is very, very, very important. I come up with an idea and most people are like, "You're crazy." I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna make it happen." Here I am. I was in public service before I got into this. Spent just under 20 years as a paramedic here in the St. Louis area. And one day I got a wild hair at my butt to start a real estate business. And now here we are 7 years later, 6-7 years later. It's been fun. Had to rearrange the order of operations, what I would normally do on a rehab, just because of the pure size of this house. There were some things that I had to do in odd orders because there was no way to get it done otherwise. Some of the electric and some of the plumbing we had to do at different times as stuff was being installed. For instance, that the wet wall of the laundry room with the sink and the dual washer and dryers, we didn't even know we had the plumbing stubbed up right below the basement. But until the cabinets showed up, we really couldn't identify, the cabinets and the appliances, exactly where my vents were going to go for the dryer and things like that. So I just couldn't, there was no way to know in all reality how it was going to work best. So what we ended up doing was putting all the drain work low and then venting it, out through the roof line of the attic and the garage, which worked out nicely. But like the vents for the dryers, I actually had to cut out through the garage, build a chase in the garage, and then go left out the front of my house through the brick behind the bushes. That was the only way to get them there, because above that wall, that's the size of this house and the way it was built in the beginning, there was steel everywhere in the ceilings. So anytime you thought you were going to go vertical, you ended up with a steel beam right over your head. And you're like, well, I can't drill or cut through that. So you had to come up with different options. Being patient for the level of materials that a house like this would require. Brian, you've been in this boat recently. Your cabinets took forever. Ours were 12 weeks. So from the day I started to the damn near the day I moved in it, I had no cabinets. I knew what was coming, had them designed and planned, and everything down to the last nook and cranny of the house, but you didn't know when they were going to show up. And luckily, the cabinet guy or the cabinet place here in town, as soon as they started finishing stuff, they were shipping it out. So they were making a delivery to our house like every other day. It was either 2 18-wheelers or a whole bunch of trucks. So they brought, countless 20-foot enclosed trailers with cabinets. There was 158 cabinets in the house when it was all said and done. Or just on the main 2 floors, because the basement's going to be a whole nother story. One thing I learned in this project was that I actually gave a shit about appliances and big ticket items being energy efficient. Like I said, my very first electric bill when nobody was living in the house was $1,000. That was something I knew it was going to be more than my other house, but I didn't think it'd be $1,000. Like that power bill showed up and I about lost my mind. I'm like, did we not pay last month? Like, nope, it was literally a 30-day cycle. It was right at $1,000. So I started to think about the products that we were putting in the house. I did a video a couple weeks ago on my Facebook page. We put a hybrid hot water heater in ×2 now, and it works off like a dumbed down version. It's a heat pump, like an air conditioner. So it's like got a 1-ton basically air conditioner on top of it, and it runs super efficiently. And then it uses its waste heat to heat my water. The other thing it does, it also connects to the power grid and to our house network, to where it learns our patterns and behaviors. So it knows when I need hot water on demand. So it will start generating water, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning for my shower at 5 a.m. So it wants to make sure that it's not just wasting energy all day and keeping that. But then also there's 3 heating elements in it. The 2 main elements, which are the energy wasters, aren't even active in either system. So literally I went from a water heater, an electric water heater, 50 gallon standard, $800 purchase, cost you about $550 for the year in energy per deal. The new ones I put in they're $105 for the year for energy usage. So I cut that much out of my power bill right there. The other thing with that, they cost twice as much, but your Ameren and Quiver River Power Quiver River gave me $900 per unit back in an instant rebate and a check. As soon as I sent them the paperwork, they sent me a check in the mail for, $900 ×2. So that saved on the install price there, which then allowed me to be able to do that and not be mad about my overspending on a water heater. So that was huge. Then we swapped everything to LED lighting in the house. And then the new HVACs that we have put in since we've been there are super high efficiency with heat pump backups that were runoff gas, high efficiency. So we upgraded our propane system in the house, upgraded the gas lines. So now my power bill's around $350 a month instead of $1,000. So that's a bonus. I'll take that all day, because that was a unexpected carrying cost. I figured it'd be $300-400. I never thought it'd be $1,000. Rebuilding the pond. That was a project I'd never tackled before. Never, ever, ever thought I was going to have to build a pond. So I actually consulted with Brian's son-in-law. He does some pond work on the farm over in Illinois. And then I talked to a couple of guys on the levee district here in St. Charles County. They gave me the right people to get in my corner, paid for some services there, but we dug a hole through the side of the pond. And now it's completely full and holding, and our kids have fished in it like 3 days this week. So that was something I really wanted to get done. Most people told me I should just fill it in, but I liked having the water feature in the front yard. So when I say power and equity in your business, so I've got 35 active rental doors in my portfolio worth just under $8 million. I've been fortunate enough since the first day that I met Brian and started my real estate business to never need a penny out of my business. I always found another way to create income via my W-2 job, or being a wholesaler, or flipping some houses on the side. I've never touched any of the money for my business. So let's just say late January, I was at the Lake of the Ozarks with 2 really close friends of ours and their wives. We were out to dinner, and I saw a TV commercial at the bar that we were at, sitting waiting for a drink before dinner, that said something about capture and equity. And a light bulb went off in my head, like, hey, I own this $8 million in real estate, and I've never taken a penny out of it. And I've always driven the value of my homes up through the roof in every neighborhood that I'm in, because I like to build a rental product that somebody wants to live in, not has to live in. That's 2 different classes of products in my mind. So I coined it real early. I'm not the guy that has grandma nice houses. I like to have a finish on a house that is equal to the level of most of my personal homes I've ever lived in. That's the caveat to this house, because ain't nobody got time for that kind of cabinets. So, but most of the finishes that are in this house would be something I'd put in a rental still to this day. Wouldn't even blink an eye at it. And the reason I do that in the beginning of rentals for me is when we put one in service, it's like having a brand new house. I don't get any calls for maintenance. I don't get any calls from my property management company. I'm the property management company, me and my wife. I may get a call a month from 35 rentals, and it's usually something dumb. Like, actually, when I was just sitting here, I just got a text from one of my tenants, and she's actually asking about placement for one of her friends looking for a house. That's the communications I have with my tenants. I very rarely get a call about a maintenance issue. So that's something that I just learned early. If I bulletproof my houses and spend a little more on the front end, then everybody leaves me alone on the back end when my life is busy. So as I was sitting at this bar at the Lake of the Ozarks, I come up with this idea to potentially refinance a portion of my business, grab some of the equity, and pay for this house in cash. So I started doing some chicken scratch math figuring on a piece of paper or napkin at the restaurant we were at. And I come up with that I owed about $1.6 million on my 35 doors, and was, deeply below 50% loan to value and deeply below 40% loan to value in the grand scheme of things. So I had plenty of equity to play with. So I also knew what my debt service was, because we, keep track of stuff like that. So my debt service was around, $15,000-$16,000, somewhere in that range at that time for all my properties. And I proposed to the bank, sitting in my booth at this restaurant. I shot an email to the banker and said, hey, I would love to, run this idea by you. I'm thinking about doing a portfolio refinance across my 35 doors. Here's my financials. Let me know what you think. Within 12 hours, the director of lending at one of our local banks called me and said, hey, when are you back in town? I'd love to take you to dinner. So we had dinner that night. We came back from the lake early, had dinner that night, and we got the green light to do a portfolio refinance, take my debt service from, let's say that $1.8 million to $2.8 million. What that did was it changed my debt service about $3,500 a month. So my, mortgage is just under 20 grand for all of my properties, my business, but we still cash flow well above the average of most, which is a bonus. But then I took that equity out of there and paid my hard money note off, paid my private lender off for my rehab, and put about 100 grand in both my wife and myself's pockets, liquid cash into our banks, and about 100 grand into my business. And now we have a $1.5 million asset that's completely debt free. I also still have a tremendous amount of equity in my business, which we're in the process right now of doing a line of credit on the business and this $1.5 million personal house. And I have forever, in the next 30 days, become my own private money lender. So this one house transaction has taken the shackles off any lending in the future for myself and my business. And also, I no longer have the potential of a $6,000 house payment a month, which I really wasn't thrilled about doing. But with the interest rates where they are currently versus what I was going to throw at the house, that's about where it was going to be, was around $5,000 to $6,000 a month. And I really was like, I'll do it. I'll make it work until rates come back down. I'll figure it out. But what we did was use the equity in our business, became very powerful in a very quick manner, and was able to pay off our house. So now it's completely debt free. I actually had to ask a stupid question to the title company the other day and asked them if they sent me a certificate with a gold seal, or if I got a plaque or something. They're like, no, it's just a piece of paper in the mail. You get it in 3 to 6 weeks. I had no idea, had no clue. So inherently, I've taken, Brian's teachings from the beginning and just kind of accelerated it along my path. And then because I had a W-2 job that's allowed us to live, within our means all the time, gave us the potential to do this project. No means when I bought it in the beginning was this my plan. It just kind of fell in my lap, and we went with it. That's kind of how I operate. I'll learn as I go and figure it out, and this is what we did. So now the 1.5 million was a recent appraisal of the first main 2 floors being completed. And when we finish the basement and the pool, it'll probably approach the $2 million mark. And I'll have, here's the really crazy number to me. As the Burr method tells you, you can generally buy a house at a discount, minus repairs, et cetera, for about 1% of your own money in it. This house cost me $1,311 out of my own pocket to buy, rehab, and own free and clear. That's a number that I can't even, still to this, I don't understand it. It's like 28 cents a square foot finished space at that point. But that's what it cost me. I had to bring a check to title to purchase the house for $1,311. And now I own it free and clear. That's a bonkers number to me still. It's been like 2 or 3 weeks, and we've known that this was coming for a while. I still don't, it still hasn't sunk in all the way. I told my wife that I'm going to party every chance I get until it's sunk in and it's reality. So until I don't have a $6,000 house payment or carrying note for a few months, that's when it'll set in. So between now and June, I'm going to party any chance I get, because this was kind of a big win in our lives and our business. And if I say too much more, I'm going to start crying like a sissy. So I'm just going to shut my mouth for a minute. So anybody got any questions? I know I talk a lot. I'm kind of high speed. I get it. I'm sorry.
Can you stop the share, Dusty? Awesome presentation. Congratulations, man.
Thanks. I wouldn't be here without you, Brian. I wouldn't be here without you.
You did awesome.
Sorry.
So anyway, awesome share. Wow, super cool house. You've been on this journey for what, about 5 or 6 years, something like that now?
Yeah, I bought my first house from you, 295 Paul Avenue in the fall of 2017.
So, yep, so 5.5 years. So
Yeah.
building really nice portfolio rentals, got an awesome personal house, you own free and clear. So congratulations. So
Thanks.
Awesome presentation, really enjoyed it. It is 1 o'clock, but I'll stick around if you got a few minutes, Dusty, to just.
Yeah, I'm here for you guys. Honestly, I'm here for you guys.
Let's take a few minutes and anybody got any questions for Dusty on any aspect of that? It was a great presentation, but I'm sure there's a lot of questions.
I'm open. I'm an open book. If you don't want to know the answer, don't ask me.
Hey, Dusty,
Yeah.
quick question.
What's up, buddy?
You. How you doing?
Good.
The HVAC unit for the garage, you putting in full systems, he's putting in mini splits. What are you doing there?
The garage is a mini split. Yep.
All right. You got to run a separate like sub panel to that, or are you tying into
No.
the main?
Tying into the main, it's just a disconnect like you would have on a regular system. So it works on I think it's a 2-pole 30 breaker on that one. And just a disconnect outside within like 6 feet of the unit. Super easy. I've done the whole systems in the garage. I prefer the mini split. It seems to be more controllable for what I need because I've done the full systems before. In our house in St. Charles City, we did a 4-car garage with about 1,000 square feet of living space upstairs. So we did a full system in there, and it never seemed to work as I intended it to, where the mini splits, I've done them ×3 now. I have no issues and they run flawlessly and they're super energy efficient nowadays.
You say you did 1 or 2 in there?
1. I got a 2-ton mini split because if you're familiar with them, they will throw a wave of air like this and like this. So you can position them anywhere in the room. They're less obtrusive. There's not a whole lot of ductwork to run, no insulation added needed, etc. So I already had insulated garage doors and an insulated ceiling. The walls are 2x6 and they've got rock wool insulation from the original build. So those were all good. So I knew that was coming. It was just a matter of adding that head right above the door. So it works beautifully.
It's on my wish list. Appreciate you.
Highly recommend it. Now I will say,
sure.
In this house, I tried something new and I did a wired thermostat on the garage unit. I wouldn't recommend that. It was an extra and I didn't catch it until it was already installed, but it was an upcharge almost $2,000 to have a wired thermostat instead of a remote. And it was already bought, paid for, delivered at the house. And as it installed, I realized I looked at the bill on it's like, holy shit. And that's what it was, literally a $2,000 upgrade for that. I would highly recommend looking into, if you're going to do one at your house, a Mr. Cool mini split. Home Depot, Lowe's, and Menards all carry them. You can get them very easily. They're super reasonable. They come already smart enabled to work with Google, Alexa, and HomeKit, etc. So you can be laying in bed and warm your garage up if you so felt inclined. But it's super smart systems and very, very, very reliable. I probably would have, if this one dies that I put in now, I would go right back to that Mr. Cool system again, because I put a Daikin in now. It's great, but doesn't make, the other one's a third the cost. So huge cost savings.
Two things, and I'll jump off.
Yeah.
So I know this is a little bit different than your rehab, right? But I love, I mean, the house turned out beautifully. Don't forget about your small cabinet guys over here. And, but listen, I love how much depth you guys thought things through, from the laundry room to the storage. It's just so cool to be able to do it for yourself. In Small World, this is in complete confidentiality. I won't share.
Oh yeah.
You're the guy you bought it from. He's my college baseball coach. So
I know him. I still talk to him
real well. Great
I
guy, and I know a lot about his story. And he used to live over in Whitmore. I've been to his house several times. So
great dude. Great
awesome
dude. Just never took care of his house, and he knew it. Yeah, great dude. I still see him. I catch him on the trails on the Katy Trail in the morning quite frequently. So and then
come back and check it out. It looks awesome.
I will. I still send him photos, and his wife is or his ex-wife is our home warranty rep for Magnolia. So she's in the building all the time too. So
Awesome.
she's kind of seen the process as we went as well.
Good deal. Well, congrats, man. It looks awesome.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Anybody else jump in?
I just want to say congrats, buddy.
Thanks, Brian.
I feel like you should start selling courses and lifestyle changing. Yeah.
Thanks. You're
You can
like
do whatever
one
you want
office
now,
away.
man. Like you can
I
do
know.
whatever you want now. Like,
That part has not set in yet, honestly.
Yeah.
It really hasn't. The only thing I've splurged on, and I just did it, I bought a really expensive bottle of bourbon today. But
of course,
it's one of those that it's the same year that we started our business. So that'll be kind of like me and Shelly's like, specialty drink once a year. We'll celebrate with that bottle.
nice.
So I literally, as we're sitting here, just pulled off that, little purchase a few minutes ago. So I like bourbon. I collect it. So that was something I wanted to be able to celebrate with. Other than that, it has not set in at all. Like I still don't even get it.
I imagine, like, do you feel like, I mean, you can tackle any rehab after that. I feel like, are you afraid of taking anything on at this point?
No, and I don't have a lot of fears in life, to begin with. It's just not how my mindset works. I see it as a challenge and something I'm going to figure out. It may take me a little bit, but I'm going to figure it out. And I've done a bunch. I mean, I've done, my body of work in the rehab world. I've done a mountain of them. This one was it was like doing 10 homes at one time, just because the overall size of it. I mean, there was 7 different plumbing stacks to mess with, 5 electrical panels. There was things in this house that we knew were there, but when you get into work, and I'm like, man, you really got to plan where you're putting stuff, where you're adding outlets, where you're adding switches, how the house is going to lay out. If you want it to be smart cable, there was a whole level of on top of my normal research and design into this house to make sure that when it's finished, that when stuff was sealed up, that I didn't go, shit, I got to cut that wall back open again. And we did in a few spots. I mean, it happened, but in all reality, like Shelly's makeup desk or makeup station in the master, for whatever reason, I didn't add her an outlet above the countertop. So then she's got this fancy little place, but then she got to crawl underneath the cabinet every day to plug something in. Just didn't even dawn on me. Like that was one of those things like, well, yep, I screwed that up. I'm a terrible rehabber, but it was like an outlet here, an outlet there, stuff like that. But, and we found some things in there that we couldn't do. We really planned to move the main staircase in the house we were going to move it from going north to south to going east and west. And when I opened all the walls up, the cost of which I was going to accrue to do that for very little change didn't make any sense. So then we had a redesign right there on the spot, because I was really going for open stairwells into the basement and into the upstairs. And the cost that came with that did not make any sense. So that was a short battle between me and Shelly, and we're able to come to a conclusion that, hey, this don't make sense. So let's spend that money elsewhere. So just being able to evolve and think on your feet in this project was a huge learning lesson for sure.
Well, I guess one of the benefits is you weren't in the, like, say, Webster or U-City or something like that, because you wouldn't have been able to do that.
I was going to say, you didn't mention inspections or anything one time.
In St. Charles, I mean, obviously everything we did was overbuilt and built above code, but St. Charles County really doesn't have inspections like that for houses. So just not the way it is. So, but everything we did, I ran past an engineering firm that we use from time to time, and an architect as well, to just run ideas by and make sure we were thinking in the right path on a couple of the big wall moves, because that to open from the dining room to the living room and the living room to the kitchen, that was 44 feet of LVL beam times 2 in one area and 22 feet in the other. So like that's a lot of load to be able to transfer and make sure it's transferring in the right directions. So that was had it all open for probably 2 weeks, had all the materials, ran my designs by them, brought the structural engineer out to take a look at it. He gave me the green light, and we were done in an hour after that. Like literally tore it all apart, cut it all open. In an evening, we had the house beamed up. So it was a wild process, but having those people in my Rolodex of contacts became very handy in this position or this particular project.
I think that's the biggest thing that stood out to me when you were talking about all that. Like you were so resourceful to find somebody for all your solutions. Like,
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, I I'm sure you felt it several times, like about just giving up and selling the place. Like I would have, yeah, I don't know if I could have.
Hell, there was right around Christmas when we were moving in. I was like, God, and we were overwhelmingly closing in on the finish line. But it was just in my heart of hearts, like, fuck, is this, pardon my language, is this ever going to be done? Like, am I ever going to be able to come in here, pour me a glass of whiskey and sit on my porch and just enjoy the evening? Like, that's just not, I just couldn't wrap my mind around that I was going to get there. And then, it took a few extra weeks and boom, we're there to where now I can go home and just sit down and, I tinker with a handful of things every evening, like, put up a mirror, stuff that's slow to trickle in. Because again, you're like, finding the materials for this isn't like you're running to Home Depot or Lowe's. Some of this shit we had to source from all over the planet, to be honest. So it's taken some time, and custom order this or whatnot. It just takes time. So you got to be patient with it.
How about the fact that you rehabbed a 5,000 square foot home in 12 weeks? I got a 1,200 square foot house in Shrewsbury right now. It's taking me 6 months to do, and you're doing a 5,000 square foot home in 12 weeks, man. That's
it was that's kind of how that's just my energy level, honestly, John. Like I wake up as soon as my feet hit the floor in the morning, I'm full throttle until my eyes close. And it could be 2-3 o'clock in the morning, my eyes are closed. You get me up an hour or 15 minutes later, I'm back to full throttle again. But that's from years of being on the ambulance. That's always how it was. Even when I first started at Faster House, I'd come in after a 48-hour shift and I would take care of anything I needed on the wholesale life, then go rehab my own houses, etc. I just have I have a unique, ridiculous volume of energy that most people, it bugs the shit out of most people. That's what I'll say. Even my wife, I get up in the morning and I'm full throttle and yapping it up and she's not ready for me and she'll just leave the room like, shh, I ain't got time for you right now. So I'll work till all hours of the night or all hours of the day to make sure I get it done. And I didn't want to, this one, I didn't want to let my family down, let alone my kids or my wife. I didn't want to be homeless or have a house that wasn't livable. So I kept up an unrealistic pace on this project at all times to make sure that it was a win on the end. So
well done. Man.
Thanks.
Yeah, awesome job, Dusty. Appreciate everybody showing up today. Again, really appreciate Dusty, you taking the time to do this.
Oh, absolutely. Sorry, I had to hop out. 2 weeks ago, we had this on the schedule, but appraisals were a mind-blowing process to do 35 appraisals in a matter of like 7 days. That was a lot.
Yeah. Awesome.
I don't think any other case study is going to be able to compete with that one, man. That's
well,
yeah, it's different. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
100%. I'll give you that. So I appreciate you guys bringing me in here to talk. If you ever have any questions about real estate, design, rehab, anything, any of Brian's students or friends of mine, you can reach out to me anytime, day or night. I'm always awake. That's how I tell people. I'm always awake. So if you need something, I'm always around.
Sounds good. All right. Good seeing everybody. I appreciate everybody showing up today. We'll see you guys all next week.
Thanks, guys. Have a good week.
Thanks, Dusty.
thanks, guys.
Thanks.